25th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Luke 16, 1-13. In today's Gospel reading, Jesus tells us the parable of an unfaithful steward. This master finds out that the manager is mishandling his possessions. So, he decides to release the servant from his work. But the dishonest servant was clever enough to find a way to do something for his survival. He called all the debtors and did his ultimate cunning act of reducing the debt of people who borrowed from the master. Jesus praises his shrewdness and then gives a few instructions to his disciples. Jesus says, "The person who is trustworthy in very small matters is also trustworthy in great ones." It means that we need to live our faith through our actions. Our faith and our actions must always be connected. If I cannot be trusted in small things, nobody is going to trust me in big things. God provides us with everything we need, and then He trusts us to handle it carefully. Recently, we heard the story of Father Tom Urunalil, who was released by the terrorists in Yemen after 18 months of captivity. He is an Indian priest who was working with the Sisters of Mother Teresa in the old age home. After the release, he stated that God spared his life from martyrdom for a reason. This is what he said about his 18 months of life. "From dawn to dusk, I kept on praying. I prayed constantly and relentlessly in my mind. I never ceased to pray silently. Without bread and wine, without vestments or texts, I recited the Holy Mass in my mind. Offering Mass and praying relentlessly every day was what kept me going. It gave me a lot of strength, faith, and above all, hope." This is the story of a faithful servant who works in the vineyard of the Lord. In a short but meaningful story, Three Hermits, the famous Russian writer Leo Tolstoy speaks about the three monks who lived in a lonely island and were visited by a bishop of a passing ship. Realizing that the monks only knew and recited a simple prayer, "God, you are three and we are three. Have mercy upon us." The bishop spent the whole night teaching them the doctrines of the Church and the Lord's Prayer before returning to the ship in the morning. That night, the ship's crew noticed someone running over the water and was approaching the ship. Those were the monks who came apologizing to the bishop for forgetting the prayer. The bishop bowed down before them, asking for prayers, realizing that he was not worthy to teach them. The simple prayers and the humble lives of the hermits were enough to carry them to God's presence. In the same way, our simple and faithful life has great value before God. We all have small and big responsibilities in our life and should always be faithful and good stewards. If we are faithful in our relationship with God, then God will help us to fulfill our responsibilities of life. Let us respond to the challenge of today's Gospel by abandoning our pride and accepting the humility of Christ in following Him through our words and deeds.